All right, so hopefully now you have the app from the Lecture 6 repository working locally on your own machine. Should look something like this, where we're pulling articles from the New York Times API. The project that you have running could be anything, and in the future, it's going to be your own app for project one, but we're just going to use this now. Now, though, let's take this local link that we have for this app and actually deploy it to the larger internet. So here are the steps to do this with Heroku. The first thing you want to do in your terminal is run the command npm install -g Heroku. And this is going to install the Heroku library package into your terminal. This might actually take a while. It's a huge package. It might take like up to 2 minutes or something. So just let it run and wait while that's happening. For me, of course, it was fast because I have it installed. But in the meantime, what you can do is go to heroku.com or the link that I have in the README, and then click sign up and sign up for a free account. So you just need to put in your name, email, things like that, role, country. I guess this is just for themselves, their data, and then create that free account. I've already done it, so I'm just going to log in. And cool. So I'm logged in. Hopefully you have created that account by now. And in the meantime, your Heroku package hopefully would have installed as well successfully. So what's the next thing that we have to do? The next thing that Heroku is going to need in order to deploy your app is a requirements file. This is basically just going to be used so that they can see what are all the libraries and packages that their server, their computer needs to install in order to successfully run your app. So let's start by just creating this file, touch requirements.txt. Now, there's a couple ways to do it. One way could just simply be look through your, your import statements in your files that you're using. You probably don't have that many files, so like app.py and nyt.py here, and see what are the non-standard imports that we're importing. So OS is standard. You don't have to include that. That comes with Python. Flask, on the other hand, you actually have to include. What else is there? .env, that library you would also have to include, as well as requests. Now, if you have a huge project and you don't want to have to look through each import that you have to list them all out, you could also run in your terminal pip freeze. And that's actually going to list out all the different packages or libraries that you have installed right now, and as well as their versions. So one thing you could do if you wanted to just do it a little bit easier is type in your terminal pip freeze, and then if you remember that greater than sign in order to pipe something into a file, you'd use that and then pipe it into requirements.txt. So I just did that, and now let's reload and see this file is now filled with all of those things here. And you might not actually need all of these things because this is just everything you've installed. It's just an easier way to go about it if you wanted. Next thing we need to make is this file called a proc file. So I'm going to do touch proc file with a capital P. There's no extension for like the file type or anything. It's just proc file. And what this is doing is it's basically giving the command that Heroku needs in order to run your app and initialize it, get it started. So when you start your app locally on your terminal, you know you have to run Python and then app.py or whatever your file name is, and that'll run it. So you need to tell Heroku that so they can do the same thing. It's going to have this syntax where you start with web and a colon and a space, which is basically just saying you're doing this on a web app. And then you just include word for word the exact command that you would need. So here, in this case, I'm doing Python app.py. So I'll save that. And these are the two kind of configuration files that Heroku needs in order to successfully deploy. Now let's just run git status. And let's see, we have a modified file when I changed what I wanted to look up for my article in app.py, and then my two new files. So let's add everything. I'll do git add dot, that can add all your files. And if I do git status again, now I can see that they're all green and in the staging area, meaning they're ready to be committed. Now let's actually commit these. So git commit -m, and then I'm going to write my commit message, add Heroku config files. So that worked. And then the final thing you want to do is push this. So remember that we connected this to our personal repository that you called it lect6. Now let's just push it to that repository remotely. So I'll put in my username, my password. Okay, cool. And let me just make sure that it worked. If you want to see that, I know a lot of people are asking, how can I see if my code is pushed up on GitHub? It shows you this link where it's going to on GitHub. You can click that, open it up, and then you can see if the code was added. So here I see a commit was made 33 seconds ago. If you click the commit, you can see all the file changes that were involved in that commit. So there you go. All right. Now, the next step that we want to do is there's a command called Heroku create. Actually, before you do that, though, you're going to need to log in with your Heroku credentials. So you're going to do Heroku login -i. And then you provide your email. Let's see. Should know my email. And then you provide your password. So you just created this when you made your Heroku account. Enter that in, and it'll say logged in as, and then your email. So I'm logged in. Next thing I want to do is create an app on Heroku. So you use this command Heroku create, and that's basically just telling them, let's find you a URL for you to host your thing on, and let's give you that kind of server that you're going to run it on. So this is totally free. It just spun it up for you with Heroku create. Creating app, now it says done. They'll choose some funny name. So this is Powerful Garden here. I think there are ways to change your name though if you want to. So you can actually click this link and open it. Now, when you do that, it's going to say, welcome to your new app. Right now, there's no code that's initialized on the app yet. So this is just their default, and they have a link to their documentation. Cool. Let's actually push our code, though, now onto it. So for that, we would use git push and then Heroku main. So this looks super similar to git push origin main, which is the command that we're using in order to push our local code to our remote GitHub repository. So our GitHub repository was called origin because that's what we set it as. Now, when we created our Heroku app, then it also has a separate remote repository for Heroku specifically. So when I do git push Heroku main, I'm pushing my code changes to the Heroku repository and my main branch. And this is super useful that Heroku and Git are so well intertwined because it makes it that easy. You're just running a git push command to get all of your code on Heroku's deployed server. So git push Heroku main, and it's saying it's doing some stuff. Python app detected. It's installing the different libraries that we need that we set in our requirements file. So let it do that. Might take a second. And honestly, if you don't put your whole pip freeze contents and requirements, this could be faster if you know exactly what you need. So in this case, it's probably just Flask, just requests, and just python.env. But here we are. So let's keep going with this. Hopefully this is giving you a second to catch up if you needed to. Now it's saying proc file declares types web, so it knows it's a web type. Some compressing, done, launching. And here we go. It's saying powerful garden, blah, 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 is deployed to Heroku. I think it's still finishing, so let's just let that do its thing. And it's done. Awesome. All right, now let us do Heroku open, which can open up the, oh, okay. So it might not work in your Cloud9. You might just have to manually do it. So it'll give you a link. And we have an error. Why is this happening? So if you remember, I have my .env file, but that's not pushed onto GitHub. So nobody can see that on GitHub. And Git is kind of how you're transferring your files to Heroku. So they can't see your .env file either. How do you go around that? So in order to give environment variables to your Heroku computer or machine that they're running, you just go to their UI. So I'm going to go to Heroku.com. And then I'm going to click at the top, or not at the top, actually. The front should just show you your apps. Powerful Garden is the app that I just created. So I'm going to click on that. Then I'm going to go to settings. And then you're going to scroll down to config vars. Click reveal config vars. And here's where you can actually set those values. So you can set your key and your value. So if I go here, go to .env, I'm going to export, not export, but use the variable name that I put there. And then I'm going to put the key itself that I put. So you don't need any quotation marks around the key itself. Just put the value straight up into this text input. And then you're going to click add. I don't think there's anything you have to actually save. It just does it. And if you see here, it's going to say latest activity set NYT key config var. All right. So the key is set. And I think that is all we need. And I'm going to refresh this and let's see if it works. Nice. So we officially have an app on the web, and you guys are going to do this in your project one, and it's going to be awesome because now you can share these links with each other, put it on your resume, and just share it with the world. So hopefully you guys are getting to the step now, and please share on the chat your app that you made.